Hello and welcome. Today we're diving into a topic that, let's be honest, affects so many of us, especially if you're a driven, ambitious person. And that's anxiety. It's that feeling that just creeps in when you're pushing for something big. We're going to explore 5 powerful promises from the Bible that are really designed to be an anchor for your soul in those exact moments.
Do these questions sound familiar? Yeah, they're the kind that can keep you staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., especially when you're carrying some heavy responsibilities or you're chasing a purpose that means the world to you. And here's the thing. For high achievers, these fears aren't a sign of laziness. They're actually a byproduct of the very drive that pushes you to succeed in the first place.
So here's our roadmap. First, we'll dig into this idea of the achiever's anxiety. Then, we'll discover an anchor for courage through a really powerful story. From there, we'll explore promises of presence and peace, and then promises of a plan and purpose. And finally, we'll wrap up by looking at how you can actively choose faith over fear. All right, let's kick things off with our first section, the achiever's anxiety. The core idea here is a bit of a paradox. For so many driven people, anxiety isn't about a lack of motivation. It's the complete opposite. It often comes directly from the pressure that's tied to having a purpose and real ambition. Maybe it's the uncertainty of a brand new career path, or the weight of financial stress, or just that fire inside you to live out your purpose. Whatever it is, that pressure can feel absolutely crushing. And that feeling is completely valid. So, what are you supposed to hold on to when those waves of fear start rising? Well, we need what the source calls anchors for the soul.
So, how do we find that anchor? Well, our second section offers one through a really compelling story. We're about to shift from just identifying the problem to seeing a solution in action. Okay, so picture this. The source material tells us about a young woman who had been praying for a huge career opportunity. But when that door finally opened, she was completely gripped by anxiety. You know that classic situation? You get exactly what you ask for, and then you're terrified of it? And her fears were so relatable, right? What if I'm not qualified? What if I let people down? These are those universal whispers of self-doubt that can paralyze even the most capable people. And right there, that was the moment she needed an anchor, and fast.
The anchor she was given was this specific promise, which was originally spoken to Joshua when he was facing this just overwhelming task. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God will be with you. Now, here's the key. The focus wasn't on her trying to find strength within herself, but on recognizing a powerful presence that was with her.
So this is the crucial part. Her fear didn't just magically vanish. Instead, by clinging to this promise, like really holding on to it, she found that God's presence started to feel bigger and more real than her anxiety did. And that gave her the courage to step forward. And that single moment became a cornerstone for her confidence from then on.
This brings us right into our third section. That story just brilliantly illustrates the power of having an anchor. So now we're going to break down 5 specific promises, starting with 2 that directly counter those feelings of loneliness and chaotic thoughts, the promises of presence and peace.
Let's look at this first one. Fear loves to isolate us. It whispers that lie, you're all on your own in this. But the biblical promise directly, and I mean directly, contradicts that lie. It states simply and so powerfully, I am always with you. This promise is anchored in Psalm 23. It says, even in the darkest valley, and that could be a scary meeting, an uncertain career move, anything, we don't have to be afraid because you are with me. God's presence is presented as the ultimate antidote to that feeling of being alone in your fear. Now for the second promise. Anxiety has this way of hijacking our minds, right? It sends our thoughts just spiraling out of control. The counter promise here isn't to just think happy thoughts. No, it's an offer of a divine peace that will actively guard your heart. The scripture from Philippians explains this so beautifully. It suggests that when you bring your anxious thoughts to God, His peace stands guard over your heart and mind like a shield. It's not about denying your feelings, but about inviting this supernatural protector to stand watch. Okay, moving into section 4, we're going to explore 3 more promises. And these tackle some of the deepest seated fears we face. Feeling inadequate, facing an uncertain future, and that core fear of just not being enough. Promise number 3 addresses that draining feeling of, I just don't have enough strength for this. The promise isn't that you'll magically feel stronger. It's actually that God's strength shows up most powerfully in your moments of weakness. It's a total paradigm shift. And this is one of the most well-known verses for a reason. I can do all this through Him who gives me strength. It totally reframes the source of your capability. It's not about you mustering up your own power. It's about drawing from an unfailing divine source.
The fourth promise goes head-to-head with the anxiety of an unknown future. Fear tells you the future is just this scary, chaotic void. But the promise here is one of intention and goodness. I have a good plan for you.
Jeremiah 29:11 is the anchor for this one. It offers this incredible assurance that even when you can't see the whole picture, the one who holds your future has plans that are rooted in hope, not in harm. It's a call to trust the planner, even when the plan itself is unclear.
And finally, the fifth promise. This one tackles what is maybe the root of so much anxiety, that nagging feeling that you are not enough. The counter to this isn't about trying to be better, it's about resting in a love that is already perfect. I love the active nature of the language here. It says perfect love drives out fear. The idea is that when you truly rest in a divine love that isn't based on your performance or your success, the fear of rejection and inadequacy, it just loses its power. And this brings us to our final section. The message from the source material is crystal clear. Fear and anxiety might knock on your door, but you do not have to invite them in to stay. It's about making an active choice. So how do we make this practical? The source suggests 3 really actionable steps. First, you consciously anchor your heart to these promises. Then, when fear starts to rise, don't just think them, speak them out loud. Finally, you can journal them until they become your mind's default go-to response to anxiety. And really, that's what this all comes down to. This whole explainer has laid out 5 powerful anchors from the biblical text. So we'll end with the question the source leaves us with. What fear, big or small, are you going to choose to face with one of these promises today?
Enjoyed this video? Buy me a coffee. Link in the description below. Thanks for watching.
Now available on Amazon.com. Unlock the transformative power of positive affirmations with this essential guide by certified personal development coach and motivational speaker, Dennis of DennisMotivates.com. In Affirm Your Greatness, you'll discover the science behind affirmations and learn how to craft personalized affirmations that resonate with your unique journey. Get your copy today. Find the link in the description. Thanks.